It was a crisp autumn evening when Sarah walked through the familiar door of her apartment, exhausted from a long day at work. She had been looking forward to seeing Mike, her husband of 10 years, and unwinding together over dinner. But as she stepped into the eerily quiet living room, a sinking feeling crept into her chest. The silence was unusual. Normally, Mike would greet her with a kiss or a cheerful hello. She called out his name, but there was no response. A note caught her eye on the kitchen counter, hastily scribbled on a torn piece of paper. "Sarah, I've left." Her heart skipped a beat as she read the words, disbelief and confusion washing over her. What did he mean he had left? Where had he gone? Panic started to set in as Sarah read on, her hands trembling. "I've sold half of the apartment." "I'm sorry." The words blurred together as tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. Sold half of the apartment? Without her knowledge or consent. The reality of Mike's betrayal hit her like a punch to the gut. How could he do this to her, to them, after all they had been through together? She sank onto the couch, feeling a mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief. Memories of their life together flashed through her mind. Their wedding day, their first home, the vacations they had taken. They had built a life, a future, and now it felt like it was crumbling around her. Questions raced through her mind. Why would Mike do this? Was there someone else? Had their marriage meant nothing to him? The note offered no explanation, leaving Sarah to grapple with the shock and devastation on her own. Days turned into weeks as Sarah tried to make sense of the situation. She reached out to friends and family for support, leaning on them for strength as she navigated the emotional whirlwind of abandonment and betrayal. Sleepless nights were spent replaying their last conversations, searching for clues she might have missed. Then, one afternoon, Sarah received an unexpected call from a friend who had seen Mike in a local cafe. Her heart raced as she considered confronting him. She needed answers, closure. With a mix of trepidation and determination, she decided to confront him and face the reality of their shattered life together. The cafe was bustling with people, the aroma of coffee mingling with the murmur of conversations. Sarah spotted Mike sitting at a corner table, his head bent close to another woman's. Anger bubbled up inside her as she watched them laugh together, oblivious to the pain they had caused. Heart pounding, Sarah marched over to their table. Mike looked up, his expression turning from surprise to guilt as he saw her standing there. The woman beside him looked confused, caught in the middle of a drama she didn't fully understand. "You sold half of our home to run off with her?" Sarah's voice trembled with a mix of anger and hurt. She couldn't believe this was happening, that Mike had chosen someone else over their life together. Mike stammered, at a loss for words. He struggled to explain himself, but his excuses fell flat in the face of Sarah's raw emotion. She felt a surge of humiliation and betrayal, wondering how she could have been so blind to his actions. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she turned away, unable to bear the sight of Mike any longer. She had loved him with all her heart, trusted him with her future, and now it felt like everything had been ripped away from her. As Sarah left the cafe, emotions roiled inside her. Anger, hurt, and disbelief warred for dominance. How could Mike betray her like this? And what was she going to do now, faced with the shattered remnants of the life they had built together? The days that followed were a blur of emotional turmoil. Sarah focused on practical matters, legal consultations, dividing assets, and untangling their shared finances. But beneath the surface, she struggled to come to terms with the end of her marriage and the betrayal that had shattered her trust. Yet amidst the pain, Sarah found moments of clarity. She realized that she was stronger than she had ever imagined, capable of rebuilding her life on her own terms. And as she slowly began to heal, she knew that she would emerge from this ordeal with a newfound resilience and strength. Little did she know, Mike was also grappling with the consequences of his actions. His betrayal had not only hurt Sarah, but had also forced him to confront the emptiness of his choices. Would he ever find redemption for what he had done? Weeks turned into months as Sarah navigated the aftermath of Mike's betrayal. She threw herself into work, finding solace in the routine and busyness it provided. Friends and family rallied around her, offering support and encouragement, but the pain of Mike's actions lingered like a dark cloud. Meanwhile, Mike found himself in unfamiliar territory. The initial rush of excitement with his new flame had faded, replaced by a gnawing sense of guilt and regret. He had traded the stability and love of his marriage for a fleeting affair, and now he was beginning to understand the gravity of his actions. Sleepless nights were spent replaying his conversations with Sarah, the look of devastation on her face when she confronted him at the cafe. He had never intended to hurt her, yet his selfishness had caused irreparable damage. The weight of his betrayal hung heavy on his shoulders, consuming him with shame. One evening, as Mike sat alone in his apartment, the reality of what he had lost hit him like a tidal wave. He thought about the life he had walked away from, the laughter, the dreams, the shared moments of joy and sorrow. It all seemed so distant now, like a fading dream slipping through his fingers. In a moment of clarity, Mike picked up a pen and paper. He needed to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, even if he didn't deserve it. He poured his heart out in a letter to Sarah, confessing his regrets and acknowledging the pain he had caused. It was a raw and vulnerable plea, an attempt to make amends for the irreparable damage he had done. Sarah received the letter with mixed emotions. Part of her wanted to ignore it, to shut the door on Mike and move forward with her life. But another part, a small flicker of hope, wanted to hear him out. She agreed to meet with him, not out of forgiveness, but to gain closure and perhaps understand his motives. They met in a neutral place, a quiet park bench overlooking the city they had once called home. Sarah arrived first, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. She saw Mike approaching from a distance, his posture tense with nerves. "Sarah," Mike began, his voice filled with sincerity and regret. "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know how deeply sorry I am. I never meant to hurt you." Sarah listened quietly, her emotions raw and exposed. She saw the pain etched on Mike's face, the weight of his guilt evident in every word he spoke. He didn't make excuses or try to justify his actions. He simply owned up to his mistakes and expressed a genuine desire to make things right. The conversation was emotional and difficult, dredging up painful memories and unresolved feelings. Sarah asked questions, seeking clarity on why Mike had chosen to betray their marriage. His answers were honest, revealing his own insecurities and weaknesses that had led him astray. As they talked, something shifted between them. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but a shared understanding of the pain they had both endured. Sarah realized that holding on to anger and resentment would only weigh her down, trapping her in the past. She needed to let go, not for Mike's sake, but for her own healing and peace of mind. In the weeks that followed, Sarah wrestled with her emotions. She sought counsel from trusted friends and reflected on what she truly wanted for her future. Forgiveness didn't come easily, but she knew that carrying bitterness in her heart would only prolong her pain. Mike, too, was on a journey of self-discovery. He enrolled in therapy to address his issues of commitment and fidelity, determined to understand the root causes of his actions. It was a humbling process, confronting his flaws and learning to prioritize honesty and integrity in his relationships. Slowly but surely, Sarah and Mike began to rebuild a semblance of communication and mutual respect. They navigated the logistics of divorce with a newfound maturity and empathy for each other's feelings. While their marriage had ended in heartbreak, They were both committed to learning from their mistakes and moving forward with grace. Years later, Sarah looked back on that turbulent chapter of her life with a sense of gratitude and growth. Mike had taught her valuable lessons about forgiveness, resilience, and the importance of trusting her instincts. Their story had been painful and messy, but it had also paved the way for new beginnings and unexpected blessings. As for Mike, he remained remorseful for the pain he had caused Sarah and was determined to live a life of integrity and accountability. He knew he could never fully make amends for his betrayal, but he hoped that by facing his mistakes head-on, he could become a better person and find redemption in his own eyes. Their journey was a testament to the complexities of love and forgiveness, reminding them both that healing is a process that requires patience, courage, and a willingness to confront the past. And as Sarah looked towards the future with renewed hope, she knew that she was stronger and wiser because of the challenges she had faced. Thank you so much for watching this video. I put a link down below about something very interesting you'll like. Go check that out. Subscribe for more. See you on the next video.